The last time you were at an airport, chances are that you saw one of these. Or these. One of these. Or even these. And there are a ton more. But what do they all mean? Today we're going to take a deep dive into the miraculous world of airport lighting. Welcome to airspace. Airports look beautiful at night. As someone who loves colorful lights, I can never get enough of the sight of a brightly lit airport, shimmering in all its glorious colors. But have you ever wondered why airports are lit up, quite literally, like a Christmas tree? The simple answer is of course to show pilots where they are, where they're headed, or where they are supposed to be headed. Let me take you on a flight where we will discover everything we need to know about all these fancy lights. As soon as we leave our gate, we will find ourselves on a taxiway. Here, green lights show us where the center line of this taxiway is, and blue lights show us the edges. You might think that a line on the ground might be sufficient, but if you have to find your way at night and in dense fog, you're awfully glad if you can follow a string of lights. I took this picture on a foggy October night in Prague while we were waiting for our turn to move. After we've left the apron behind, we finally reached the runway. Bright blinking runway guard lights warn us that there is a runway ahead and that we need a clearance from air traffic control if we want to enter here. If the visibility is really bad, air traffic control can also illuminate bright red stop bars to underline this statement. Only once a red stop bar is extinguished and we are given clearance are we allowed to enter the runway. Once you move onto it, things get a lot brighter. White centerline and edge lights brightly show us where the runway is. There's a lot more going on around us here, but for now, let's focus on what is important for our upcoming takeoff. The most important thing surely is the centerline. While we are accelerating, the pilot flying works hard to maintain the centerline as closely as possible, a challenging task in windy conditions. In the later stages of our takeoff roll, we see at the far end of the runway and its changing colors. There is a warning zone indicating to us that we are about to approach the end. 900 meters or 3,000 feet from the runway end, the centerline will change from white to alternating white and red lights. If we go further, we see the runway edge lights change from white to yellow at 600 meters or 2,000 feet from the end, and finally, on the last 300 meters or 1,000 feet, the centerline changes to red to show us that the end of the runway is very close. But luckily, all goes well today and we lift off into the skies, leaving the gleaming lights behind us as we climb into the dark night sky. In earlier days, more bright lights, the stars in the skies, would have shown our navigator the way. Today in more modern times, GPS, inertial navigation computers and radio beacons help us in that regard. Let's jump forward a bit to the final approach to our destination. As we approach the runway, we see the approach lights. On days with bad visibility, chances are that we might only see the approach lights first, not the actual runway. These help us to know that we are in the right place. Approach lights come in various different forms, from a very basic straight line of lights to a full array of lights in various colors. For runways that offer installations that permit automatic landings, additional lights can be found. These red and white rectangles of light are called barrettes and extend away from the runway for 300 meters or 1,000 feet. They indicate to an approaching aircraft that the runway is near, but you're not quite there yet. The entire approach light system is usually 900 meters or 3,000 feet long. For approaches where the runway might be hard to find, for example, if the approach path is curved, lead-in lights are added to the approach lights to guide pilots to the runway. One of the most famous examples of this is the approach to New York JFK runways 13 left and 13 right, also called the Canarsie approach. Bright white lights guide the pilots to the runways. Next, as we near the threshold of the runway, we can see that it is clearly presented to us as a row of green lights. Sometimes, flashing white lights are added left and right of the threshold to make it more conspicuous. By the way, the green threshold light is of course only visible from our approach direction. From the other side, the lights appear red to show that the runway is ending. As before, we can now see the runway in all its glory, with white centerline and edge lights that gradually change towards the runway end. Also, we see two bright stripes extending down the first section of the runway. This area indicates to us where we should touch our aircraft down. Its length depends on the length of the runway, of course, but for most runways it's 900 meters or 3,000 feet long. Most airlines specify more strict rules though, for example, that a touchdown has to occur between 300 to 600 meters. If this cannot be achieved, a go-around must be performed. Quite a small area, don't you think? Next to the runway, right here, is the PAPI installation. Yes, that is the actual abbreviation. It stands for Precision Approach Path Indicator. A series of 4 lights is installed in a row to indicate to the pilots whether they are coming in high or low. These lights are angled upwards at a specific angle. The higher we are, the more white lights we see. If we see more red lights, we know that we are coming in low. This is very useful. If we see 2 whites and 2 reds, we know that we're approaching the runway at just the right angle. Today, our landing goes perfectly to plan and we touch down within the touchdown zone. As we are decelerating, the rest of the touchdown zone lights fly past us. Now, we just need to find a way off the runway. Luckily, the airport lighting system has us covered, even here. Alternating green and yellow lights indicate runway exits to us. To find out how far away an exit is, we can consider the so-called rapid exit taxiway indicator lights. These are installed 300, 200 and 100 meters or 1000, 660 and 330 feet from the respective runway exit in a 3-2-1 configuration as we approach the exit. Once we leave the runway, the taxiway center line remains alternating green and yellow until we are far away from the runway that our big metal aircraft no longer interferes with any radio signals of the instrument landing system. At that point, the line once again turns green and we follow the web of green lines to our stand. Some airports like London Heathrow take the system a little further. Pilots who land at Heathrow at night will often not receive a standard clearance that sounds like follow taxiways Alpha, Bravo and Charlie to stand 1, 2, 3, but instead just follow the greens, stand 4, 5, 6. By using a very intelligent monitoring and control system, this follow the greens system illuminates certain lights ahead of the pilots to show them their way to their parking position or the departure runway. In case that 2 aircraft come close to each other, or in case that they have to use the same taxiway, the system will automatically and safely prioritize aircraft. It will illuminate a red stop bar for one aircraft, while the other one is given the right of way by illuminating its portion of the taxi lane. A very ingenious system that reduces workload for air traffic controllers and pilots alike. It's also quite magical to look at when you taxi. It's like fairies guiding you to your parking position. So these lights are the ones that you most commonly see at airports. But wait, there are more. For example, most airports feature a so-called aerodrome beacon. Originally, I thought these are just lights installed on the tower that flash alternating white and green, but apparently there is a whole host of beacon meanings. White and green or just green for land airports, white and yellow or just yellow for water airports, green, yellow and white for heliports, white, white, green for military airports, and finally, white, green and amber for hospital airports. Also, if you've ever flown into an airport with a lot of obstacles or hills around, you might have seen red flashing lights on top of cranes and buildings. These are installed to make obstacles and terrain more visible to pilots at night and in conditions of bad visibility. A more interesting recent development is the addition of takeoff hold lights and runway entrance lights. In this system, ground radar data is used to illuminate safety relevant lights around the runway. First, there are the takeoff hold lights. These are located here at the beginning of the runway, where an aircraft would usually line up and wait for its takeoff clearance. If there is an aircraft waiting to take off and another aircraft enters the runway, whether that happened due to a valid clearance by air traffic control or not, a big array of red lamps will illuminate around the waiting aircraft to signal that it is not safe to depart at the moment. Pilots should always respect these lights and wait until they are extinguished and air traffic control has issued a takeoff clearance. Inversely, when an aircraft is taking off, all taxiway center lines to the respective runway are illuminated in red to signal to all aircraft around the runway that it would be very deadly to enter the runway right now. It's quite an intelligent system that is being installed at several complex airports at the moment. One airport that already has it is Paris Charles de Gaulle Airport, sporting no less than 4 runways and a plethora of taxiways. So that's about it. These are all the lights you can find at an airport. I'm sure there are a lot more that I forgot to cover here, but the ones that I mentioned are surely the most common and most used ones. Now let me know in the comments down below, which are your favorite airport lights and why? Also, if you liked the video, hit that like button, subscribe and turn on the bell icon so you won't miss any future videos. That said, thank you so much for watching and see you in the next one.